I never thought I'd be the guy writing some story like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 8 years. We got married young, both of us pretty settled into this routine of life, work, weekends, the occasional vacation. At first, everything seemed fine. She was cute, a little bitchy sometimes, but that's just how Lisa was, always had a mouth and an attitude, but I loved her, or at least I thought I did. Things started feeling off around 6 months ago. Small stuff, really. She'd leave her phone around more often, get defensive if I asked who she was texting. She'd be more distant, more impatient. I figured she was just stressed at work or maybe bored. We've had our fights, sure, but nothing that suggested anything seriously wrong. Still, I noticed she was hiding her phone more, deleting messages, and once I caught her looking at her phone with a weird, guilty look on her face. I didn't say anything at first because I didn't want to jump to conclusions. But inside, I started feeling this gnawing suspicion. Then came the signs that really made my stomach turn. She started wearing this new perfume that I didn't recognize. She was more secretive about her phone, texting late at night. I'd catch her sneaking out of bed to take calls in the bathroom or her car. Little things, but enough to make my gut twist every time I saw her act nervous or defensive. I kept telling myself I was overthinking, that maybe she was just stressed or having an affair-plagued daydream. But I should have known better. Last week, I stumbled onto it. I was helping her clean out our closet and I found this small, crumpled receipt shoved in her purse. It was for a tattoo appointment. I didn't think much of it. She's always wanted a tattoo, and she's obsessed with this artist, Marco, who's famous for these intricate, symbolic designs. We even went together to consult with him for our matching anniversary ink. It was supposed to be something meaningful, a symbol of our time together. But that's when I noticed the appointment was scheduled for a day I was out of town for work. And the worst part, the receipt showed a tip for extra service, whatever that means. That was my first real sign that something was wrong, but I was still in denial. It couldn't be true, right? Lisa would never cheat on me, especially not with Marco, that tattoo artist who's been around since forever. I mean, I always knew she was bitchy about a lot of things, but I never thought she'd be so reckless. I kept telling myself it was just a misunderstanding. Maybe she was just getting a tattoo touch-up or something. Or maybe she was planning to surprise me with a new design for our anniversary. Yeah, that's what I told myself to keep from losing my mind. But then, yesterday, I came home early. Just wanted to surprise her with dinner. I walk into the apartment and there's this weird smell, perfume I didn't recognize, and this faint scent of sex in the air. I hear noises coming from the bedroom. When I peeked inside, I saw her lying on the bed, her hair a mess, and there was Marco, tattoo artist Marco, kissing her neck, his hands in her hair. They didn't even bother to look surprised. It was like they both knew I was there. I froze, my heart pounding so loud I thought it was going to burst out of my chest. That was the moment everything snapped. All the little signs, all the doubts came crashing down at once. Lisa looked up at me and just smirked, that bitchy smirk she always does when she's about to lie her way out of something. "Oh, Mike," she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm, "you're early, didn't expect to see you here." I couldn't breathe. My fists clenched. I wanted to scream, to punch something, but I just stood there, staring. Marco quickly pulled back, looking guilty but also strangely confident, like he knew he'd won. Lisa stood up, trying to play it cool, but her face was flushed and her eyes were wild. She kept saying she didn't know what I was talking about, that it was just a mistake, that Marco was just helping her pick out a design, that we were overthinking. But that's bullshit, and I knew it. I saw the truth with my own eyes. That was it. I couldn't take it anymore. The betrayal hit me like a freight train. I felt this mixture of rage, hurt, and complete devastation. All those years, all that trust, gone in a second. I wanted to scream at her, to tear her apart. But I just stood there, staring at her, trying to process how the woman I loved could do something so cruel and reckless, with someone I thought was just a harmless artist. It was like the symbolic tattoo we were supposed to get, the one that meant so much, our future, our bond, had been turned into a painful irony. That's what she'd done. She had taken something personal and made it a dirty secret, a betrayal wrapped around a symbol of us. I don't know how I managed to get out of the apartment without saying a word. I just left, walked out into the night, feeling like I'd lost everything. I didn't even care about the stuff I'd leave behind. All I could think about was how she lied to me over and over, how she'd been sneaking around behind my back, and how stupid I'd been to trust her so blindly. This was supposed to be forever, the one girl I thought I could count on, and she was out there fucking my tattoo artist, and she'd turned our special day into some sick joke. That's where I am now, angry, hurt, and trying to figure out what the hell to do next. After I walked out of that apartment, I don't remember the exact route I took. My mind was racing so fast I felt like I was in a fog. I called my best friend Jason, but I couldn't even get the words out. I just told him to come over immediately. When he arrived, I was sitting on the curb outside, my hands trembling, trying to breathe through the shock and rage. Jason's a good guy, kind of a no-nonsense type, and he just sat with me while I tried to make sense of what I'd just seen. Honestly, I kept replaying everything in my head. The way Lisa smirked at me like she was proud of herself, how Marco just looked so confident and unbothered like he knew he was the one winning. It was sickening. I kept thinking how she lied to me for months, all the little excuses, the fake smiles, the late nights. She told me she was working late or meeting friends. All lies. I thought about the matching tattoo. We'd spent hours at Marco's studio designing it together, and now it meant nothing. It was supposed to be a symbol of our love, this permanent mark we'd wear forever. Instead, it became this painful irony, a reminder of how she betrayed me. Jason listened quietly as I vented, and then he said something I didn't want to hear but knew was right. "Dude, you've got to confront her. You can't just let this slide." I knew he was right, but the thought of facing her, of hearing her spin some bullshit, made my stomach turn. Still, I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. I had to find out what she was going to say, or at least see if she'd admit to what she'd done. So I went back home later that night. My apartment smelled like her perfume, fiery, sweet, and so fucking wrong now. When I walked in, I saw her sitting on the couch, acting like nothing had happened. She looked at me with that same bitchy smirk, like she knew she'd gotten away with something. My stomach clenched. I said, "Lisa, what the hell is going on? I saw Marco kissing you. Don't lie to me." Her eyes darted away and she shrugged, acting like I was overreacting. She told me she was just helping him pick out a design, that I was crazy, that I was reading too much into it. That's when I lost it. I told her I saw her lying, that I saw her cheating. She kept insisting it was a mistake, that Marco was just a friend, that I was overthinking everything. She said she was sorry I was so insecure, that she loved me, that she'd never do anything to hurt me. But I knew better. I could see it in her eyes. She was lying and she knew it. The thing that burns me up is how easy she lied to my face, like my feelings didn't matter. Like I was just some idiot she could string along while she was sneaking around with him, behind my back, betraying the one thing I thought was solid. That night I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, that look of guilty pleasure, the way she was lying there with Marco. The worst part is I kept thinking about the tattoo. That stupid, symbolic piece we'd picked out, something meant to represent us. Now it's just this cruel, painful irony. The design was supposed to be a symbol of eternity, of love that lasts forever, but now it's a mark of betrayal, of her secret life. That hurts worse than anything because it's permanent and I can't erase it. Every time I think about it, I get this crushing feeling like the ground is collapsing beneath me. I started questioning everything. Was I blind? Did I miss all the signs? How could I have been so stupid, so trusting? I feel like I built my whole life around her, and she just tore it apart. I kept telling myself I should just pack up and leave, but part of me wanted to fight, to demand answers, to make her see what she's done. But honestly, right now, all I want is to figure out what to do next. Do I stay and try to fix this? Do I walk away and pretend I don't still feel this ache? I don't have the answers yet. All I know is that I've been betrayed in the most gut-wrenching way possible, and I'm trying to keep from losing my mind over it. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a freight train. My head was pounding, my stomach was churning, and my mind kept circling back to what I saw. I knew I had to do something, anything, to get some clarity. I couldn't keep living in this fog of doubt and pain, so I started planning my next move. First, I needed to find out how deep this thing went. I decided to dig a little, not just rely on what I saw or what she told me. I went to Marco's studio, just a quick drive, really, and pretended to be interested in booking an appointment. I wanted to see if I could get more info. The guy was pretty well known, so I figured I'd play it cool, act like a potential client. When I asked about the design consultations, he seemed a little guarded, but I managed to get him talking. I asked about his process, his clients, that kind of stuff. And that's when he let slip that Lisa had come in a few times, discussing her ideas for a tattoo, but she kept canceling her appointments at the last minute. That's when I got suspicious again. Why keep canceling? Was she afraid of getting caught? Or was she hiding something else? I pressed him about details, but he said he didn't know much, just that she seemed secretive, and she was always texting someone while she was there. The way he said it made me realize she'd been sneaking around for longer than I thought. She was hiding more than just her affair with Marco. She was hiding the whole damn thing from me. I went home and started going through her phone while she was at work. That's when I found the worst. There were dozens of texts between her and Marco, flirty, suggestive, even borderline explicit. They'd been talking about meeting up, about finishing what they started, all that trash. I felt my chest tighten and my stomach churn again. How could she do this? How could she lie to my face for so long, all while planning her secret rendezvous? The amount of betrayal was so overwhelming I thought I might actually vomit. And then I saw the pictures. Photos of her in Marco's studio, her lying on the table, showing off the tattoo sketches, her hand resting on her phone with a smile I'd never seen before. That was the moment I decided I couldn't just sit around and hope she'd come clean. I had to confront her, and I had to do it soon. So I called her, told her to come home early. I didn't want her to suspect I'd been snooping, but she was so predictable at that point. When she got home, she looked nervous, like she already knew what was coming. I told her I knew about her affair with Marco, that I'd seen the texts, the pictures, everything. She tried to deny it at first, blamed it on some misunderstanding, said she was just talking about tattoos, that I was paranoid. But I cut her off. I told her I'd seen the messages, the photos, her talking about finishing what they started, and I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore. Her reaction was almost laughable, except it was. She snapped, started calling me names, yelling that I was overreacting, that I was insecure, that I was just jealous because Marco was better looking or whatever. She kept lying, spinning this ridiculous story that they were just friends, that I was making a big deal out of nothing. She said it was just sex, that it didn't mean anything, that I should relax, but I knew better. It wasn't just sex. It was betrayal on every level. It was her lying about everything, hiding her secret life from me. And the way she looked at me, like I was the crazy one, made me realize how much she didn't care about my feelings. The worst part was seeing the disgusted look on her face when I told her I was done, that I was leaving her. She rolled her eyes, scoffed, said I was overreacting, that I was being dramatic. She kept calling me possessive and jealous, like I was the problem, but I knew it was her. She was the one sneaking around, betraying me, and then trying to gaslight me into thinking I was the crazy one. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind, so naive. That night I packed a bag and slept in my car. I couldn't stay in that house with her, not after everything. I kept thinking about the tattoo, our anniversary thing, the symbol of our love, and how she'd turned it into this cruel joke. I kept asking myself how I'd let her do this to me, how I'd let her lie and cheat while I was out working, trying to build a life. That's when I decided I had to cut her loose for good. No more excuses, no more trying to fix what's broken. I knew she'd never change, not after all the lies and betrayal. So now, I'm just trying to figure out how to pick up the pieces and move forward, even if it still hurts so much I can't breathe. The days that followed were a blur of confusion and pain. I stayed in my apartment until I could get my head straight, but honestly, it was a nightmare. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her lying there with Marco, that fake smile, the way she looked at him like he was the only thing that mattered. I kept replaying all the signs I ignored, all the times I brushed off my gut feeling because I didn't want to believe she could do this to me. But now, there was no denying it. My wife, Lisa, had been cheating on me with the guy who was supposed to be creating our matching anniversary tattoos. An innocent thing turned into this sick, ironic joke. I knew I had to take some kind of action. I couldn't just walk away from this without doing something that made her feel the pain she'd handed me. I wanted her to understand that her lies, and the sex and betrayal, had consequences. My first step was to gather evidence, not just for myself, but to make her see that I wasn't going to be played anymore. I dug deeper into her phone, looking for more proof, and I uncovered a string of messages Marco had sent her in the weeks since I'd found the initial texts. They'd been planning to meet up again, more secret rendezvous, more lies. It was clear she was a serial cheat, and she had no intention of stopping. Then I started thinking about what I could do to make her regret what she'd done. I remembered that Marco's studio was nearby, so I drove over there again, pretending to be interested in getting a new tattoo. I didn't want to tip my hand, but I wanted to see if I could catch her or Marco in the act again, or at least get some more dirt. I asked questions about her appointments, about her visits, about what they'd talked about. Marco seemed nervous but played it off cool. I could see the flicker of guilt behind his confident facade. I also made a point to ask about the special design consultation, the one where she supposedly finalized our matching ink. He muttered something about how she seemed really into it, and that she was very secretive about her ideas. That was enough for me. It confirmed she was hiding something and I needed to call her out. Later that evening, I confronted her again, this time more prepared. I told her I knew everything. Every message, every secret meeting, every lie. She looked stunned at first, trying to deny it all, but I didn't let her off the hook. I showed her the screenshots of all her texts with Marco, the photos from her phone, the receipts from the tattoo shop. Her face twisted into a mask of anger and defiance. She screamed at me, called me crazy, said I was paranoid, and that I was just jealous because Marco was better in bed than I was. That was her line, her typical spin to make me doubt myself. But I knew better. I knew she'd been lying to my face for months, and the truth was finally out. The more she denied, the more furious I became. I told her I wasn't going to put up with her bullshit anymore, that I was done being her fool, her backup plan, her punching bag. She yelled back that I was overreacting, that I was a prude, that sex with Marco was just fun, and that I should get over myself. That's when I snapped. I told her she was a cheating bitch, that I'd never trust her again, and that I'd take everything, my dignity, my pride, and the damn tattoo away from her. Her face turned red with rage, and she spat at me that I'd never find anyone better, that I was a loser, that she never loved me anyway. I left her that night, knowing I had to make a choice. I could stay and fight, or I could walk away and start over. I knew I'd be better off without her, even if it hurt like hell. I realized she was a manipulative, selfish woman who'd betrayed me and lied for months. It was a sick feeling, knowing she'd been sneaking behind my back, pretending to care, while planning her next move with Marco. I kept thinking about how that tattoo, the one we picked out together, was supposed to be a symbol of us. Now, it's just a reminder of her betrayal, a cruel irony that I can't erase. I feel angry, betrayed, and utterly broken, but part of me also feels relieved. Relieved that I finally saw her true colors and that I'm free from her lies. Still, I wonder how I'll ever be able to look at that symbol the same way again. The days turned into weeks, and I found myself stuck in this weird limbo. I was officially separated, living on my own, but honestly I felt like I was just breathing in a nightmare. Every time I passed by the tattoo studio or saw something that reminded me of Lisa, my stomach clenched. That damn symbolic tattoo, our special anniversary design, kept haunting me. It was supposed to be a token of our love, this permanent reminder of everything we shared. Now it felt like a sick joke, a badge of betrayal I couldn't ignore. I started thinking about how to deal with it. I knew I couldn't just erase the design physically, but I could do something symbolic. I figured if I wanted to reclaim some control, I'd have to do something to turn this cruel irony into my own statement. I made an appointment with Marco, just to talk, no plans to get another tattoo. I wanted to understand what exactly happened during those secret meetings, how deep her lies went. Marco seemed surprised to hear from me, but he was honest enough to admit they'd been texting for a while, and yes, she'd been planning to meet him again. He said she was obsessed with the idea of finishing the design, but he didn't know if she was cheating on me or just driven by some weird obsession. That's when I decided I had to do something more than just confront her or cut her out of my life. I couldn't let her get away with turning our love into some sick joke. I wanted to make her see how messed up what she did was. So, I went back to Marco's studio, this time with a plan. I told him I wanted a tattoo, something that would symbolize everything I'd been through, something that would turn the irony against her. He looked at me like I was crazy, but I didn't care. I told him I wanted a design that incorporated the original symbol but twisted, something that would remind me that betrayal can't be erased, but it can be reborn as strength. Marco was hesitant at first, but I convinced him to do it. When he finished, I looked at the new tattoo, and I felt a strange mixture of relief and anger. It was a design that resembled ours, intertwined lines, matching elements, but with a sharper, darker edge. It looked like a symbol of victory, a mark of reclaiming what was lost. I knew Lisa would see it eventually, and I wanted her to feel the weight of what she threw away. Our love, our trust, our future turned into this permanent reminder of her betrayal. I also made a decision. I was going to tell her about the new tattoo, about what it represented. I wanted her to see the damage she'd caused, not just in my heart, but in my life. I was tired of hiding my feelings, tired of pretending I was okay. I wanted her to know that I was done playing her game. When I finally showed her the new tattoo, her reaction was priceless. She looked stunned, then angry, then helpless. She tried to deny that it was about her, but I just smiled and said, "This is what happens when you lie and cheat. You can't erase what you've done, Lisa. You can only live with the consequences." That moment felt like I took back a sliver of control. I realized I couldn't undo what happened, but I could decide how I moved forward, whether I let this destroy me or use it to become stronger. I chose the latter. I started focusing on myself, working out more, reconnecting with friends, and trying to rebuild my confidence. I knew she'd never come back, and honestly, I didn't want her to. She had burned that bridge and then some. The betrayal had cut so deep that I knew I'd never fully trust her again, but I also knew I'd survive it. Looking back now, I've learned a lot about myself, about how fragile trust is and how quickly it can be shattered, about how lying, cheating, and betraying someone you once loved can turn something beautiful into a twisted, painful joke. But I've also learned that sometimes you have to take control, even in the worst moments, and turn that pain into something that makes you stronger. That tattoo, that symbol, it's not just a reminder of her betrayal. It's a reminder of my resilience, my ability to pick up the pieces and move on, even when everything feels broken. It's been a few months since I did the tattoo, since I confronted her, and since I finally decided to reclaim my life. Honestly, it's been a roller coaster. Some days I feel like I've made it past the worst of it, and other days I find myself slipping back into rage or sadness. But what's different now is that I don't feel completely broken anymore. That tattoo, that twisted symbol of irony turned strength, has become my anchor. Every time I look at it, I remind myself that betrayal and pain are part of life, but they don't define me. I can choose to move on, to heal, and to grow from this. I learned that people are capable of hiding so much beneath the surface. Lisa was so good at lying, at pretending she cared, at hiding her true self. I never wanted to believe she could do this to me, but I see now that sometimes what's underneath isn't what it seems. Trust is fragile, and once broken, it's almost impossible to fully repair. But you can learn to live with the scars, and sometimes those scars are what make you stronger. The biggest lesson I take from all this is that revenge isn't about hurting her back, at least not anymore. It's about reclaiming your dignity, understanding your worth, and refusing to be a victim of someone else's lies. I don't regret the decisions I made, getting the new tattoo, exposing her lies, walking away. Those were necessary for me to finally see the truth and start healing. And honestly, I'm glad I did it myself on my own terms. As for Lisa, I don't know where she is now. I haven't spoken to her since the confrontation, and honestly, I don't want to. Some betrayals cut so deep that they leave a scar you can't heal completely. But I've learned to live with that scar, wear it like a badge of survival. I've realized that life is messy and unpredictable, and sometimes the things that hurt us most can teach us the most about who we really are. Looking back, I wish I could tell my past self to trust his instincts more, to listen to that little voice that warns you when something's wrong. I wish I'd seen the signs earlier, not ignored the doubts. But I also know that life is about lessons, and sometimes those lessons come with a heavy price. The important part is what you do after, the choices you make to keep moving forward. Now, I focus on rebuilding myself. I'm reconnecting with friends, working on new projects, and trying to find happiness again. The pain will always be part of me, but it's no longer controlling me. That symbol I got, that ironic, painful reminder of betrayal, it's become my symbol of victory. I wear it proudly now, knowing I survived, I fought, and I came out on the other side stronger than I ever thought I could. And maybe someday I'll find someone who truly values me, someone who won't lie, cheat, or betray. But until then, I'll keep that tattoo as a reminder of what I've been through and what I've overcome. Life's a bitch sometimes, but you just have to keep fighting, no matter how painful it gets. That's what I've learned from all this. That's what I want others to remember. Never let betrayal define you. Use it to make yourself better.